Thailand, a popular tourist destination known for its bustling nightlife, street markets, and cuisine. Also, its breathtaking landscapes, islands, and beaches.
Myself and some friends were on the island of Koh Phi Phi. It's an island just off the southwest coast of Thailand. We'd spent a week there already, sightseeing and enjoying beach life. It was Christmas Eve 2004, and that morning we took a boat back to Krabi on the mainland, and then caught a flight back to Bangkok. On Boxing Day, we were on a bar in the Koh San Road in the centre of Bangkok. It's kind of like Traveller's Central, and we started seeing the news come through that something had happened. There had been what they were calling a tsunami. At the time, I'd never even heard the word tsunami.
On December 26, 2004, at 7:59 a.m. local time, an undersea earthquake with a magnitude of 9.1 struck off the coast of the Indonesian island of Sumatra. Approximately 2 hours later, a tsunami hit the island of Koh Phi Phi.
That wave is a good 15-20 feet tall. Easy.
It was madness, we couldn't believe what we were seeing. The island, this paradise was just completely destroyed, and they were saying, the death toll was in it hundreds to thousands. It was bizarre. We started recognizing places that we had been staying at, and everything was just in complete ruin. I remember thinking, we'd spent a week hanging out at a particular bar, and I was just thinking, the owners and the staff at the bar, we had no idea what had happened to them, whether they were still there, whether, it was beyond belief. I remember having a lot of guilty feelings getting back. The sort of the story about the tsunami sort of dominated the news for weeks after. In a way, I kind of wish I had stayed and helped, or gone back and helped with the efforts. But it was such a bizarre time, and I think at the time we just felt like we were lucky to get out of there and get home and be safe.
Around 4,000 people were believed to have died in Koh Phi Phi, although the true number will never be known.
We went back to the island of Koh Phi Phi October 2005, and everything was just in ruin still, like almost a year later, and the beaches were covered in debris and plastic bottles and coral laying all over the beach. There were shacks and little huts made up where some of the sea gypsies that used to live around the area, whose homes were destroyed, were sort of staying in these shacks. And so we spent a week there, spent most of our days volunteering to clean up the island. We spent some time with some of the families that had lost their homes. It was tough. It was really hard to see, something like that, this sort of natural disaster that we'd never seen in our lives had affected the lives of so many. It was very sad, but undescribable, really undescribable.
The earthquake which caused the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami is estimated to have released energy equivalent to 23,000 Hiroshima-type atomic bombs. The tsunami's waves travelled across the Indian Ocean at 500 miles per hour. That's the speed of a jet plane. Nearly 230,000 people died in the 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami, making it one of the deadliest disasters in modern history.
Moim zdaniem to już się od dłuższego czasu działo, bo pierwsze przecież protesty miały miejsce w 2016 roku, w których też brałam udział. Nie byłam osobą organizującą, ale byłam na proteście w Berlinie, które też się tutaj odbywało. Ogólnie moja przygoda z aktywizmem zaczęła się jeszcze wcześniej, bo w 2014 roku, kiedy byłam w Chinach i tam dołączyłam do Shanghai Pride i z nimi pracowałam przez prawie rok jako wolontariuszka. Bardzo dużo się wtedy też nauczyłam. I później wróciłam z Chin do Berlina i miałam dużą potrzebę jakiegoś takiego zaangażowania się, ale cały czas mi brakowało jakiejś takiej działalności aktywistycznej i starałam się chociażby robić to przez mój Instagram, najbardziej jakby podstawowa wersja chociażby. I w 2020 roku to, co mnie skłoniło, gdzie powiedziałam sobie, okej, teraz musisz coś zrobić, to były te protesty, które odbywały się latem, ta cała historia ze Stop Bzdurą, zatrzymanie Margot i tak dalej. I wtedy po prostu już nie mogłam siedzieć, już miałam też jedną magisterkę ukończoną, także już trochę też więcej czasu. I stwierdziłam, że po prostu muszę się udzielać przez długi czas. Bardzo podziwiałam osoby, które coś robią, które się publicznie wypowiadają, które stają na scenie na proteście i mówią jakieś wielkie słowa i się zawsze zastanawiałam, że świetnie byłoby być taką osobą, wyjść na scenę i przemawiać. I w 2020 roku sobie powiedziałam, że ja nie mam czasu się bać, nie mam czasu się wstydzić przed tym tłumem, stanąć, muszę walczyć o prawa swoje i innych osób takich jak ja. Autorytarna władza mówi: bójcie się mnie, słuchajcie się mnie, bo jak nie, to ja wam zrobię krzywdę. Natomiast populistyczna władza mówi: bójcie się ich i ja was przed nimi obronię. I to jest dokładnie to, co PiS robi. PiS sobie wybiera wroga naszego kolektywu, po prostu ludzie zaczęli się zgłaszać i pisać: my chcemy coś zrobić, musimy gdzieś iść, musimy się zebrać. I ta wściekłość ludzi, ta niezgoda na to, jak się ludzi traktuje, że 14-latkowi grozi teraz 8 lat więzienia, bo udostępnił link na Facebooku do jakiegoś protestu. To wszystko pokazało, że osoby, które od dłuższego czasu były niezadowolone, wyszły na ulicę, i osoby, które moim zdaniem też były może niezdecydowane, po której stronie się opowiedzieć, to znaczy może były nie do końca przeciwne PiS-owi czy coś, ale jednak to tak mocno w mnie uderzyło, że zostały te osoby zmobilizowane także do wyjścia na zewnątrz.
nakazywał opuścić w dół oczy. Strach nakazywał cały czas się bać. Mieszkańcy miasta i przyjeżdżający, tacy zmęczeni i tacy cierpiący, przeklinający swój codzienny los. Słyszałem także taki głos. Jeszcze będzie przepięknie, jeszcze będzie normalnie, jeszcze będzie przepięknie, jeszcze będzie normalnie, jeszcze będzie przepięknie, jeszcze będzie normalnie, jeszcze będzie przepięknie. Ciemny tłum kłębi się i wyciągał ręce i wciąż było mało i ciągle chciał więcej i wciąż nie starczało, ciągle było brak, ciągle bolało, że ciągle jest tak.
My name's Alan O'Hare. I am a musician and writer from Liverpool, as you can probably tell. Lived here all my life, worked here most of it. I now currently work for a music festival called Black Deer Festival, based down in Kent. Liverpool's been central to everything I've done, really, all my life. I started out wanting to be a journalist, a football writer. When I was about 23, 24, I did various jobs at the Echo, which still is the big newspaper in Liverpool, although it doesn't sell as much as it used to. And the Echo in Liverpool's a funny thing because it's everything and everywhere. Everyone's nan buys it, everyone's mum buys it. They make loads of money off death notices and things like that. So in Liverpool, everyone likes to tell everyone what's happened by, whether it's someone dying or Valentine's Day or someone's birthday, there's notices in the Echo. It's a strange thing. So that just gives an illustration of like why that was so big for me growing up, wanting to be involved in the media or writing or music or whatever it might be, sport. You can talk about them little things that aren't great about them. I think that's what's a good thing about Liverpool, is that if you find out, it's got a dark history as well, Liverpool. The darker side of it, Hillsborough, the Jamie Bulger horrible thing that happened, to the young lad who was kidnapped and killed. These things are all in Liverpool, and it feeds into your mind. It always seemed to be in the news to me. When you realise that the things you love aren't perfect, you find them more interesting. Once you're living and working there every day, you feel like it's the centre of the universe, because there's always things happening. I mean, it's a tiny place, Liverpool. It's a village, really. You can walk across town in 5 minutes. There's always something you can get out to. There's always a gig, whether it be a big band who you've read about playing a big gig, or a pub who's got some cool guy on or girl who's just playing something really unique. You always have a good night. You always find someone in there. I grew up in the 80s. I'm 41 now. And when I was growing up, Everton won the league twice, 2-3 years when I was going from juniors into seniors and stuff. So just punches above its weight, I think, culturally, music, football, theatre, whatever it might be, politics. So growing up in Liverpool and starting to work and live in the centre, it was just like big-headed. It's got an ego, and you fall into that. And I think all that good and bad stuff feeds into that. I work for a company now based in Kent and who do all their business in London, really. But I'm still here. Before the pandemic, I was just on the train to London twice a month or whatever. It's funny, when I went down to work to meet them, the first thing they defined me as was from Liverpool. So it's always, oh, the Scouts of this or the Scouts of that. Oh, you like this, Al, you're from Liverpool. It's not, oh, Al, you're into guitar music or folk music. It was always, you're the Scouser. I was a fan of music, still am. I picked up the guitar when I was about 12 or 13 and it was just too hard. Didn't like it. Hurt my fingers. So I said no. I went back to footy and girls. Should have stayed with that. As I got back into it, because it doesn't let you go here. Most of my mates were either in bands or went to gigs, stuff like that. And I got back into playing the guitar when I was around 17, 18. And then you realise, oh, I can do this. And I think Liverpool's got a big part in that. Because I think if you're in Basingstoke and you pick up the guitar or you pick up a turntable or a saxophone or whatever music you're into, or you start rapping or whatever, and you live in a town where there hasn't been much like that, I don't know what it does for your confidence. Whereas I picked up a guitar here and you go, well, who's played guitar in Liverpool? And it's immediately the best band ever. And you go, oh, right, okay. So you're never going to be the best from your city ever. But it's that duality again we just talked about a minute ago, where you end up proud of it because the Beatles are the biggest band ever. So it feeds into that thing of it being centre of the universe. Of course, it's not, because, Everton didn't win the league again for 30 odd years. Still haven't. Liverpool didn't win it for 30 years after that. This year's been funny because lots of Scousers talking during a pandemic about, blaming the government, which is right. The government have made a right mess of it. We know that. But the whole Scousers hate Tories, and it's become a big thing, and it's good. It's a great movement and that. But what people forget sometimes is that Liverpool was a Tory town until very recently. It's only the last 100 years that it changed into the workers of Liverpool rather than the bosses. And the influx of the Irish immigration, which is where my family on my dad's side started, the influx of the Welsh, Caribbean communities, Chinese communities. So I think immigration changed Liverpool for the better. As people shout about it now, people love that it's got a big gob, and people love that it stands up to the government, and people love that it's a solid working class socialist town. It's ironic really that it only became that way after immigration. And a lot of the same people who shout the odds about hating the Tories also don't like immigrants. And I find an irony in that. I find it fascinating for that reason, because its faults are as interesting and as valuable as its good points, And there's loads of them too. And I think if you take them all on board, it tells a more fascinating story, really. If you take that duality on of Liverpool being the greatest thing, the greatest city in the world, and also a bit crap, then that's when it's cool, do you know what I mean?
Growing up with Mum, there were a number of things that never changed. Mum's love for jazz and tea, her overwhelming optimism, and her slightly concerning Netflix obsession. But the most prominent was her love for travelling. We were blessed with countless stories of Mum's travelling around the globe, and how from a young age, despite a great childhood, her passion to explore the world was strong, and never faded even when she grew up.
Always through school, I had a passion for languages, always. So at school, the only language that we could do at the time was French, so I did French. I then wanted to go to university to do French and economics or French and politics, but my father couldn't afford for me to go to university, so I went to work in a bank for a year, which I hated every minute of that experience, but it really did pave the way for me to go out and see the world, because I was determined that was not the career I wanted to have. Cruising, I'll tell you a little bit of a story that's quite topical at the moment, quite poignant at the moment. We were one of the very first cruise ships that actually had a virus on the cruise ship, which happened as we were travelling from the Mediterranean to the Caribbean, and then every single passenger and every crew member caught this virus, and it was, oh my gosh, hell on the ocean, that's all I can say. We weren't allowed to go on into any of the Caribbean islands. There were white flags on every island saying do not let those passengers off the cruise ship. So that was something that was quite hard to deal with, but we got through it.
Like why you travel, what you get from travel, like why it's your purpose and why you're so passionate about it, and for you, like how do you feel about that and why do you feel about it?
I think because most importantly for me, it's the people that you meet along the way, the different cultures, the different languages, the different ways of life, every single country obviously has its unique culture, and I think that we are so blessed if we get the opportunity to experience the cultures. That's so important. Languages, I love languages. That always interests me. And just seeing the different scenery from one country to the next, things that so many countries have such hidden secrets, hidden gems that we all need to go out and explore. And I think you need to travel to broaden your horizons, to find out about life and to find out where you actually fit in this huge world that we live in. But I think that if ever you get a chance to travel, take it, because there's a huge world out there, and there's so much to love and so much to enjoy, and you will become a better person once you experience different cultures and different ways of life.
Can you give me any examples of things that you've learned from travelling? Like not just about yourself, or just about the world around you. Is there anything that you've learned that you've carried with you throughout your life?
Yeah, I think what I've learned from travelling is this positive energy, to always be positive, because there's always people worse off than yourself, and that it's not impossible. It's not an impossible dream to go and sit on pure white sand and see azure-coloured ocean around you. It's not an impossibility. Yeah, it's a long way away, but you can do it. We can all do it, and it makes you want to work harder so that you can have those things, so those things are accessible. And for me, it doesn't matter how gloomy a day is at home. Sometimes the weather here, for example, you always know that not that far away the sun's shining and there's so much beauty to be enjoyed, and it keeps me positive all the time, because I know, okay, having a bad day today, it's grey, it's miserable, but not a problem. Soon I can go out and enjoy all those beautiful things that I've experienced during my travels.
أنا اسمي معتصم هاشم. ده يوم من أيام حياتي.
تمام حط ايوه حط خد خد دوس عليه دوس عليه دوس عليه ايوه كده ايوه دوس ايوه عليك خد قلب